Welcome back to State of Texas in Depth. Ahead of the March primary, we're profiling the candidates for Texas Lieutenant Governor. First up, one of the Republicans vying for that post, Ag Commissioner Todd Staples. He faces three opponents in the primary, one of the most contentious statewide races this election season. I sat down with Staples here in the studio. So this seems to be a race to see who's more conservative, but it seems like right now, in the legislature, conservatives have had a tough time getting some of their bigger policy initiatives through, like bans on sanctuary cities, guns in college classrooms. How would you kind of make sure that the conservative agenda makes it out there?
Well, I approach this race with a full recognition that politicians from both parties have let us down. And I quite frankly think that politicians in both Washington and Texas are really not listening to what the voters are saying. I've been doing that, and that's why I developed a contract with Texans. Texas has many needs, and we recognize we're a growing state. It is my belief that the incumbent, David Dewhurst, has as an example of failed leadership, not accomplishing what he needs to. Politicians are kind of like socks. They need to be changed regularly, and that's what voters are expecting, is to get new face and new passion and new energy. Happen to be the youngest of all candidates running for lieutenant governor, yet I have the strongest record.
Back to your time in the Senate, 2006, what has changed in the legislature that you've seen since that time?
Well, Texas is a growing state, and the reality is that the current lieutenant governor missed some key sessions and legislative venues this past session. He miserably failed during the special sessions. But the reality is he's been missing when it comes to being that fighter that Texans expect a lieutenant governor to be. So I think we have those very real changes, and Texans are looking for somebody new to step forward.
With the lieutenant governor, he has been criticized during that whole abortion filibuster this past summer, that he lost control of the chamber. There were a lot of people there. We were there for a long time also, and we saw how rowdy the crowd actually got. If you were lieutenant governor faced with that same circumstance, how would you actually have controlled the chamber and kept the debate going civilly?
Well, there's two things you could do. If the lieutenant governor wanted to really establish that piece of legislation is the priority that he claims he wants it to be, when it was on the floor during the regular legislative session, he would not have gone out for dinner or drinks with his political consultant. That's called being missing in action. Regular employees would be fired from our jobs if we left during the critical moment. He did that. He left, and we need to make a change. Secondly, anyone that pays attention to this process knows that the only way that could end is for a filibuster and giving rise to a group that was trying to take over that session. He should have adjourned that day and started the next special session the next day and worked with the governor to do that.
It takes 2/3 of the Senate to bring up most legislation on the floor for debate. Also, some of the committees have either chairs or vice chairs that are Democrats. With the rule changes that you are proposing, would that eliminate kind of this idea of a two-party system in the Senate?
I think that we need to wait and see what the makeup of the Senate is like. I think we will have less Democrats because I'm going to lower the number of committees, and I'm going to appoint committee chairmen under the existing Senate rules that will help me pass my contract with Texans, because these are issues that I believe in. These are issues that I've worked on for years, and some of them are unsettled issues that we need in order to make certain we can attract jobs to our state, that we can have a quality education system that is challenging the needs of our kids.
Would Democrats have any leadership posts in your Senate?
Leaders will have post in my Senate. Those that want to pass my contract with Texans will have an opportunity to perform. You have 31 members. They represent a large part of Texas. Any member of that body will have an opportunity to represent their constituency, and I will give opportunities even more so than those that have demonstrated they believe in this contract with Texans, because that's what voters are going to be deciding on when they go in and check who they want to be their next lieutenant governor.
Speaking of Democratic senators, you've got a very popular woman, Leticia Van de Putte from San Antonio, that is running for lieutenant governor on the other party side. If she does get the nomination, which seems likely, and you get the nomination, how are you thinking this is going to work out, knowing that she has a lot of popularity, especially after that abortion debate?
Well, she's a very nice lady, but her vision for Texas is out of step with Texans today in terms of our business growth, in terms of our value systems. But right now, March the 4th is a date that I'm very, very focused on, because Republican primary voters have to make a decision about who they want to carry the mantle forward, who they want fighting for them on the field. And I believe I am that best fighter. I have delivered on conservative issues without ever compromising who I am. I've been a business-minded candidate that also has traditional values and belief system, and I can bring both of those together and be the effective leader. Because really that's what this race is about. It's about leadership and it's about results. And that's why I put this contract with Texans, put it on my website, toddstaples.com, because people can go and see who I am, what I've stood for, and what I've done, and what I will do, very importantly.
Nationally, though, it seems like a lot of people are watching this race and the governor's race because you do have some big names like Wendy Davis in the governor's race, and then Leticia Van de Putte, you guys as well. I mean, you've got a very competitive primary. Do you feel like that when it comes to Democrats, we're seeing a shift? Are you at all worried about what your party is going through?
Well, I know that Wendy Davis would not be a national celebrity today if David Dewhurst, our incumbent lieutenant governor, had not mishandled that legislative session so badly and put her up on that platform. I think that Texans are hungry to know who is really serious about solving the challenges of our day. And I believe that we are a growing state, and that each person has to go out and earn the respect and the vote of the voters. And this race is really about who can you trust to actually do what you say you'll do. Out of all of these candidates, I'm the only one that has served at my local level on the city council, served as a member of the state house, as a state rep for 6 years, a state senate for 6 years, and now as a statewide elected official. So we know we have to govern. We need to build our roads. We need to educate our kids. We need to make certain that we are addressing the water challenges that are hurting our economy and the urban Texans and rural Texans alike. And there's one person that has demonstrated in this race that they can serve in different areas, never change about who we are and what we stand for, and that's me, Todd Staples, because I've done it. Voters have that record, and I have won these other elections because I went to Austin and did what I said I was going to do.
Talking about Mr. Dewhurst, he has a lot of money. How do you compete with that? I know you just recently started a new ad buy about border security, correct?
Well, I'm up on TV and radio, both telling Texans about what my vision is for Texas. And look, David's a nice guy, but he just spent $36 million on a failed Senate race where Ted Cruz beat him in running for the United States Senate seat. So money alone doesn't attract people. You have to really have a record of doing what you say you'll do, and that voters recognize that he's not the strong fighter, that he's had problems governing, he's had problems being the leader that Texans want.
So coming back to border security, that money that you have been spending recently, ads and talking about border security, the new ad you released, it talks about border security. Kind of explain to me your vision for where Texas should go in this area.
Well, border security is a national responsibility, but it is a Texas problem. We have 2/3 of our entire southern border, second highest population of undocumented immigrants. I've taken budget savings from my agency that I was not appropriated for, gave to programs like Operation Drawbridge that are low cost, high impact solutions, and that's what I want to do as Lieutenant Governor. We have too many people that are just running around and talking about one aspect. The reality is we must secure our border. We don't have to provide amnesty to do that, and we must reform a failed guest worker program. Texans are a people, I believe, that Texans don't care what your last name is. They don't care what your zip code is. Texans don't care about the color of your skin. They want fairness. They want a rule of law, and they want to treat people humanely.
Finally, we got about a minute left. I just want to know, a lot of the policy platforms during this campaign and this actual election seem very similar. How would you differentiate yourself in the coming weeks?
Well, it's clear that one candidate has a strong business record personally and a strong record of public service, and that's Todd Staples. I differentiate myself because I established a contract with Texans. I put my name on the bottom line so that voters can hold me accountable. I believe in transparency in that process. That's why I put it on my website at toddstaples.com, and they will know that I will be held accountable, and they will have a stick to be able to hold me accountable because I've put it in black and white. Voters today are hungry for people that will just tell the truth, and they want someone they can trust. Our president has misled the nation on Obamacare. Texans have been resistant to that policy because they know that it entraps us on big spending programs. I want Texas to be Texas. I want to fight for Texas solutions that will move all Texans forward, do it in a way that reflects what I believe to be a conservative Texas and not compromise our principles and values in doing that. And as Lieutenant Governor, I'm going to fight for border security and immigration reform. I'm going to focus on jobs in our economy. I'm going to fight for a quality and accountable education system. And I will resist a federal government that tries to put its claws into Texas.
Staples and his 3 Republican opponents have just over a month to convince voters who's the stronger candidate. Coming up, our political roundtable breaks down that race and looks ahead to November. Morgan Smith from the Texas Tribune and Jim Henson from the Texas Politics Project. When State of Texas in Depth returns next.